Thanks for tuning into the Loser Kid Pinball Podcast. I am Josh Roop. With me, my co-captain, as always,
Scott Larson.
And we've done this already once or twice. Did I say it was episode 144?
You did now, so that's great.
Perfect. Scott, we have a special guest on today that's going to talk about his most recent game and about the new code that just dropped. If you're going to buy this game, where are you going to get it?
I'll contact Zach and Nicole Mini at Flippin' Out Pinball. They can definitely get you hooked up with the Jaws of your choice and see what they have. I know I personally just ordered a black and white Godzilla that I'm putting at my friend's house, and so I'm really looking forward to seeing that in person. So if you want to get your pinball needs, just go ahead and contact Zach and Nicole Mini at Flippin' Out Pinball.
Awesome. Well, we have the legendary Keith Elwin on with us today, and you've dropped quite the juicy little mode on this Jaws game called Jaws the Revenge. Where did this even come from? Like this is pretty epic, in my opinion. I love 8-bit. I love the nostalgia, so this is right in my wheelhouse.
Whoa, where to start? So this was born out of my ADHD towards pinball. As you can see, I love older games.
Yeah.
I think they're great for, playing with people, playing a quick game. And so when I was making Godzilla, I was like, man, I love Godzilla, but I don't always have like a half an hour or 20 minutes to dedicate to playing a game. Sometimes I just want to play a really quick game, which is why I have, so many older games in my collection. So it was kind of born out of that, where I was just like, it'd be fun just to have, existing play field with a totally different rule set, a much simplified rule set.
Mm-hmm.
So that was an idea I had towards the end of the Godzilla. And then when we were talking about doing Jaws, I was like, oh, I want to make a simple rule set. Probably not going to get many assets, so this will be perfect. And then Jody's like, here, and he dumps all these assets on me. So I'm like, okay, so I got to make a lot of modes to use up all these assets. So I kind of just, all right, whatever. I'll make a simpler game later. And then when Bond 60 actually kind of came out right after I started Jaws, and the response is like, oh, this is great. I could play a game in 10 minutes, have a lot of fun. So then I just got thinking, what if I just make an entirely different rule set on the same, based on the same play field, using different assets, just its own thing. And that's how it was born.
Nice.
Now, did you grow up? So I grew up playing Nintendo, and this feels like a classic Nintendo Entertainment System game. Is that kind of what you're going for here?
Yeah, I used to. There was a Circuit City down the street from where I grew up, and I used to ride my bike down there, and they had a Mike Tyson's Punch Out, on display mode, so you can play. It was like 2.5 minutes or something. You can play it. I would go down there every day, hang out there, play that. Finally bought my own Nintendo, and I had pretty much every Nintendo product since. But yeah, it was definitely inspired by my childhood.
Nice.
Okay,
Well,
I will say it seems like with Mike Tyson's Punch Out, when I first saw this mode, it totally reminded me, at least the vibe, of like the training. When he's going from the circuit and he's like running.
Yeah, one of my favorite games was Contra 3. So I pretty much just took that intro and rewrote it for Sharks. Awesome.
Nice. That is awesome.
Yeah, if you're a Contra 3 fan, you probably recognize the let's attack aggressively. That's straight from Contra.
Okay, is there a way of doing the up, down, left, right, BA code? Because that would be awesome if you could get 30 guys on there. Yeah.
Yeah, you get infinite power up. That'd be
You never lose health. You just get to go right through the game.
God mode. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. I got it. I don't know if you can confirm or deny, but the Invincibility song reminds me of Rally X from Atari. Is that where that came from, or is that different? Music?
I have no idea. I say, hey, Jerry Thompson, I need some power up things, and he sent me a few different things that he bought, and I was like, this one, and yeah, I don't know exactly where it came from, or but it sounded. It had a very, I thought, very Mario vibe. So that's kind of what I went with. It's kind of what I was looking for. So
yeah, and it sounds great. It sounds perfect because it's like you're just intensely in this game, and all of a sudden it's like, boom, you've leveled up and you've got some power now.
yeah, we got all the RGBs, like, cycling rainbow colors, and it's like, yeah, it's like, oh, this song's perfect.
Yeah. Well, I've got to ask too. So I
Okay.
was listening to Triple Drain a couple days ago, and Joel asked a question on there, and I figured, well, I'll ask you and see if you can answer this. But how do these concepts get green lit? Like, in other words, these games don't have modes like these. So what was the thing that like convinced the higher ups to say, yeah, we're willing to invest in a project on this?
I mean, there was no convincing. Hey, I have this cool idea. Um, so my pitch was, Jaws is, it's a very dark game. It's a very serious game. It obviously has little sprinkled elements of humor with, Quint singing, dancing, being drunk, whatever. But
Mm-hmm.
all in all, it's a very serious game. And I remember early in development, Elizabeth was like, "Man, this game's so dark. Can't the swimmers ever win?" And I was like, "Well, no, because we can't modify the assets to make that happen." So that's kind of when I got the idea. It's like, well, if we make our own, little 8-bit things, we can do whatever we want because, they don't look like anything. So, we're not using anyone's property to do anything else. And so that's kind of why it's its own little standalone mode and not built into the game.
Mm-hmm.
But that's how that started. And it, like I said, I pitched that early on, and then when the game was released, I think George made a video saying, turn the tides and play as the shark. And at the time, I had no idea what we were doing. That's how last minute this thing was all cobbled together. I was like, yeah, I had this idea. I'm gonna play as the shark, and it's gonna be goofy and stupid, and it's gonna be action button based. So it was I just wanted something to be total opposite of the main play, where lighthearted, dumb, and you're not doing stuff you would normally do in a pinball machine, which is constantly having to hit the action button while juggling multiple balls.
Oh, I love there's a purpose to hitting the action button. Like, it just made me chuckle. I'm like, I'm playing this. I'm like, Tillis is going to hate this mode. This is just...
that's what I was just wondering. Like, what's Jeff going to say?
Yeah. I think he is boycotting it. So
you can have an action button mode champion or something like that now.
Those chomps, yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think he's just going to wear like a strap on a hand to his belly button, so it just goes up and down, just hits it all the time.
Well, and
I mean, it is fun to like trap up and use your chin or belly or whatever.
Yeah. Well, I love it because my son loves this game. Like, we're never getting rid of Jaws. It's his favorite. He's now into sharks. Like, he wears sharks something every day to school. It is what it is. And so the other day when this code came out, I'm like, buddy, you hit the action button. So I guess I was kind of cheating. I don't know. So I'm playing the game and he's chomping. He's like, yeah, he was way into it. He's just, let's eat these people.
That's a team up mode, Josh. Team up.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
He was giddy. Yeah, it's definitely team up.
I know, Josh. I mean, Jack and Kyle were joking about that on the stream. It's like, you hit the action button for me.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like a co-op. Yeah, all you do is chomp, and I'll swim to different beaches. How's that?
Yep.
This is a really good way, though. There's a lot of games, as you said, there's a lot of your games that tend to be a little longer playing, and basically repurposing the existing game that you have so you can have like a party mode or a challenge mode or things like that you can do with 4 buddies really quickly. Is like, hey, in some ways you do, like a speed run or a competition or who can get the most points in 2 minutes or whatever, like unlimited balls, something like that. And so it seems like a smart way to transition toward the next phase of pinball, because a lot of us have run out of space in our downstairs. And so if we have different ways of playing the games, then that's actually a great option. And you guys already started that with, you can jump to a mode, or, the escape from Nublar, things like that. And so this is a great way of continuing expanding the asset that you already have.
Yeah. And I wanted to gear this towards multiplayer. So, the mode costs shark teeth to play, but only player 1 gets charged. So if you want to play with your buddies, they don't even need to log in. They can join a 4-player game with just, as long as one of you is logged on and charged teeth, the rest, is free.
Well, it's nice too, because it costs less teeth too. It's only 10 teeth versus 20.
Yeah. So if this mode took way longer to come out than we'd hoped. We'd hoped to have this pretty close to launch. So kind of make up for that. We decided to just reduce across the board the number of shark teeth. We don't want to frustrate people who spend all their shark teeth playing the video mode because that was all they had, and so that was a decision we made.
They had tons of problems with the shark during the movie, but in addition to it, they actually had like an earlier jump scare, and when they were testing the video in audiences, they actually found that when he jumps out of the out of the ocean to get the get the chum that he's putting in, it actually became like a less of an impact when they had the earlier one, and so they took that out. But it's an interesting thing about building a scary movie. Is like you have to time it, so it can't just everything's a jump scare.
Yeah, like in Jaws 2, the entire time you're following the shark.
Yeah.
And well, I mean, I actually think it's a solid movie, but it's just more on line what we expect from a action monster movie rather than Jaws 1, which I think is more of a buddy intense bonding movie for its time, which was a great movie for its time for sure. But I think if you made that today, probably people wouldn't have the patience for it. But more like Jaws 2, which is kind of just action.
Mm-hmm.
You're seeing the shark. That's probably more of a modern movie. So
I actually like Jaws 2 even more than Jaws 1, just because it was a little different, and also it was him convincing that, hey, there is another one out there, and people were just kind of blowing him off. So that was an interesting tidbit for the movie. And of course, you have kids in danger. So I think a few kids got eaten. So that's always
and helicopters got eaten. I mean, come on. I just knew I had to do something with that scene. So I was, oh man, that was just so epic.
Does the shark bite the cable at all in your game?
We have the assets, so we still have three more modules coming. So
okay,
for sure you'll see everything you're expecting to see. That includes biting cables, slapping widows. Everything that you think should be in the game will be in the game.
What about the terrible underwater scene when Jaws comes and breaks through the glass? I can't remember which one that was. You're just like, really?
Jaws 3, yeah. We took all the Jaws 3 assets and threw them into our little kind of the challenge modes, not the challenge modes, but when you replay a mode, we threw them in there just to use them.
Yeah, I was gonna say I've seen it, but yeah, you have to complete all the modes once, and then when you go back through, you see them again.
Yeah, I had no other use for those other than hey, check it out. Here's some assets.
So I'm going to ask the question again because I'm assuming because this is saying take two. So I'm just going to ask the question again. Okay. So Keith, you guys revealed a new mode today called "The Shark is Broken." Where did this mode come from? Where did it come from? Is it exclusive just to the topper, or is this going to be added to the game later as well?
It is exclusive to the topper. It's its own standalone challenge mode. And I put Elizabeth Gieske in charge of this mode, and one of her favorite things about reading up about Jaws and the lore of Jaws was all the trouble they had filming this. And so her idea was like, hey, wouldn't it be cool if that instead of being in a movie or being the shark, that here's this third take, you're on the movie set and you're trying to get this thing to work. And her imagination just kind of ran from there. And so you'll see they're trying to record, but there's a black screen with static until they get the shark moving, and then all of a sudden the assets start working. So yeah, it's kind of a brilliant take on a different view that I don't think has been done before.
No, I agree. It's way cool, and I love how when she's getting these little glitches, as you guys were revealing in the stream today, it was like, oh, I ran across this bug, so I decided to put it in this mode.
I just found that out on this stream. I almost complimented her, right? It's a really good glitchy effect you put there. She's like, oh, thanks. And then on the stream's like, yeah, that was an actual bug, but I liked it so much, I just kept it in there. It's like
okay. The pop bumper flipping the mini flipper. It's like, yeah, I'll throw that in there as well.
That really messes with your mind. It's like, wait, what? I can't do that. What? Yeah.
So people trying to time it out and everything. Like, how do I use this to my advantage?
Yeah. Okay. Speaking of the Jaws, the little mechanical thing, at Universal Studios, when back in the 80s, they have the ride where you go through and Jaws comes out of the water. If you remember back in the day, so Jason Bateman, if you know the actor, he was on Silver Spoons and they filmed on that lot, and they actually had to go talk to him because there's like, hey, when you guys are on break, you and Ricky Schroeder go down and you're like playing in the pond with the shark coming out, and it kind of ruins the ride for people because they're seeing two kids just swimming around and the shark jumps up and they're like, oh, well, okay.
Yeah, I remember the original iteration of that ride. They called him Carrot Tooth because he had such goofy teeth.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There was actually a Columbo episode too where they filmed there.
Yeah.
that's awesome. Okay, one thing I was noticing in the stream is there's a one-handed mode. So is this just activated when you hold the center button, or do you have to like start from the beginning and then
Yeah,
once?
when you press start, if you hold down the action button, you enter the one-handed mode. And I believe it's 5x scoring. And in order to flip, you have to be holding down the action button. So right flipper or left flipper. If it senses both flippers, you just tilt out.
Ah,
Oh, so you always have to. So, okay. So you can't really swap unless you're doing the whole
Yeah,
Indiana Jones idle swap
yeah.
thing or
So
keep
you
it down.
can't put your gut on the action button and use both flippers. It'll sense that. So um,
so long as you're not holding the center button, because there was like multi-balls you went into as well, and
well,
so
once you get the shark working, which is means brings it up to 100%, then yeah, it restores power to both flippers and you play as normal. And then once that multi-ball ends, you enter back and the shark is broken again. And then you gotta
uh,
do the repairs. That's the percentage you see on there as you're making shots to get to 100 again.
Are,
so
are
we'll,
you are you also going to have a mode where you can't trap up, where if you hold the flipper, it just flips and then goes all the way back down?
No, but I told her she should do a mode where you have to use the action button to flip the upper flippers.
Oh,
so will you get to the shark is broken through the startup menu, or will you encounter in the game with the topper?
No, it's strictly a challenge mode. So you enter the menu. If you have the topper connected, it'll show up. If you don't have the topper connected, you won't see anything. So don't have to be online or anything. It just has to have a topper connected.
Gotcha. Okay, cool.
okay. When Jaws was pitched, so here's the question. I know there's lots of ways that themes come about. Were you in a meeting where they said these are the potential licenses, and you said I want Jaws, or did you come to them and say I really want to do Jaws?
I was given a couple choices and I chose Jaws.
Okay.
Okay.
And honestly, I was a little worried because I, wasn't sure how well it would work as a theme because, like I said, it is so dark. It is so, kind of gritty, and it's more of a buddy movie than it is like an action movie. But um, the more I studied it, the more I was like, there's a game here. And so I threw my hat in the ring, said, yeah, I raised my hand for this one, and the rest is history.
So when you're choosing a game, you're like, what I guess what elements go into you selecting to say yes, I think this can be a pinball machine?
Well, in this case, the really appealing thing is this theme has never been done. And
Yeah.
there's very few water themed games. There's very few, shark games. It sounds stupid to say, but I can't think of any other shark related pinball machine. So that was, a huge thing for me. Is like, I don't always want to do something that's already been done 100 times. It's nice to
Yeah.
take a fresh take on a fresh license. That was the number one thing. And then, of course, we'll just like, well, what next do we make around this? And, we just talked about, I kind of wanted, the playfield's an ocean. That's kind of a given. I want to have a shark under it and then the boat on top of it. And that's how the whole design started.
Well, and credit to Michael Bernard. I mean, the artwork on this is amazing. Like, it's not like it's not busy, but it still fills the space while filling like that it is full. You know what I'm saying? I mean, looking
Yeah.
at like Deadpool and looking at Godzilla, it's very packed. Like Jeremy Packer does a fantastic job with that. But Michael Bernard was able to make it feel like an ocean, but not feel like make it feel barren. So
Yeah. 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 We had a lot of conversations. I was, this is obviously going to be a lot of water, but I think at the bottom of the playfield, we can probably do something unique. And then the top half of the playfield where the shark fin and the shark are, it's going to be water. We can do some variants on the plastics and stuff, but I actually really like the artwork on this. So, and I think there was a limitation of, well, there's not much you can draw because we're in the ocean. But
Yeah.
It works.
So I can't remember if Scott asked this earlier or not, but how close are we to 1.0 and what's preventing it from being at 1.0?
Well, we just spent a boatload of time making this 8-bit mode. So, yeah, if you guys haven't noticed, there hasn't been many updates lately, and that's why.
Yeah.
And up till 2 weeks ago, it was awful. So, you can ask anyone who played the beta, they're just like, oh, yeah, this is all right. It's like, because normally the way we do it is like, we'll implement the rules and we'll add the assets later. Well, this was backwards because we had all these 8-bit animations. We also needed an 8-bit UI, 8-bit background screen, all this stuff that went into the standalone mode that we had to put in before we can even start on the rules. So when we first just got it functional and we put it on beta here at Stern, everyone's like, oh yeah, this looks cool, but man, it's boring. And it's like, yeah, we know. It'll get there. And even like up to a week before the stream, before we got all the rules in, like the multi-ball progression stuff, the little bonus game in there and everything. Yeah, it was very just, oh, this is all I do forever. And it's like, yeah, we'll get there. Don't worry. And then sure enough, like the 11th hour, we got everything in. We were trying to get in. We're still missing a couple things, but it'll be in the next release.
Okay, so walk me through the mode. I did see the stream, but for people who haven't seen the stream, describe what the mode is and how you actually, because there's different lanes that you choose and how you eat things. So just walk me through the mode.
So the idea of the mode is the word gets back to the Sharks that Bruce has been killed, and they are mad. And they are so mad that they are teaming up the Mako, Thresher, Tiger, Hammerhead, and they're led by the Great White, who's like, hey, Bruce was killed. Let's go get revenge on these bounty hunters. They're all hanging out in Amity. Let's just go get their attention. Let's just start wreaking havoc. So you start off, it's just a normal day. You have 5 shots, the main shots of the game. They all represent a beach. These are all labeled on the playfield themselves. So you start off at the pond, and there's already a swimmer there. So as soon as you launch, you'll see the action button start flashing. He's like, oh, there's a swimmer there. So you start hitting the action button, and you'll start chomping on the beachgoer until you've chomped them enough to make them perish. And then for every shot you hit, you move to that beach. So if I shoot the middle ramp, that means I'm moving to the north beach. Shoot the right ramp, I move them to the east beach. And so wherever you see, swimmers, and you see these on the inserts too, the beachgoers. You also see boats, which are represented by the color arrows. The mode lights are used to show you the position of the shark. That shows you where you are. And if you see the beach closed, that means there's a police boat on that beach, and there's no swimmers to be eaten. So you have to destroy that police boat to open that beach back up. So you're just kind of swimming around. You're going to these different beaches. You're chomping on beachgoers. You're destroying boats. Well, the more you do that, the bigger bounty you build. And once you get a big enough bounty, then you start attracting the bounty hunters. And this is a completely different stage. So after your bounty reaches a certain level, you'll get this whole timer warning, hey, bounty hunters are coming after you. So you enter this stage where it's a showdown versus the bounty hunter. So now you're in a stage where there's these roving green shots. You have the green shots. Ideally, if you combo them, they do twice as much damage. But you can also just shoot the boat itself, Ben Gardner's boat in the middle. And you're just, working down their health until you can finally destroy them. And the higher rank you are, which is, Mako, Thresher, Hammerhead, Tiger, Great White, the bigger rank you are, the more bounty boats that will come after you. And you also have things like power-ups. So if you knock down the drops or in the pro, if you complete the stand-ups, it'll light one of the shark tower targets that roves around. When you hit this, you're now invincible. Not only are you invincible, but you get like 1 chomp, kills. So in the case of the bounty hunter, when you're invincible, you don't take any damage, and each green arrow you hit or the boat does double damage.
Okay, nice. So it's definitely
you're
beneficial.
You're just kind of making your way through. You're just wreaking havoc on Amity. Your ultimate goal is to get your bounty level up to $10,000 to lure Quint out after you.
So Quint's the boss level.
Quint will be the final boss. It's not in yet. He should be in soon.
Mm-hmm.
But we kind of made it artificially hard, so you should probably, it's going to be really hard just to get your bounty to 10,000. But once we get Quint in there, we'll dial down the difficulty a little bit, and give you a chance.
Yeah, I think I got to level 4, which is 4 balls, and every time
4
you drain,
balls.
you lose health.
Yeah.
And I think I was only at like 3,500 or 4,000 on bounty. I was like, how are you going to do this at like 6 balls? It's like impossible.
Well, one of the one of the key things is knowing when you have to panic and when you have time. So you have to reach a certain amount of kills before the bounty hunters are triggered. So it'll say bounty in, and you'll see a little number there. That's how many more people you can kill before the bounty hunters start coming after you. So you can actually play a little bit strategic. Like if it's a 2-ball multi-ball, you can trap up. You're not in any hurry at this point.
Yeah.
And you can hit the chum bucket to add beachgoers. If you hit the ramp on the upper playfield, that maxes out all the beaches for all beachgoers. So that's something you really want to do. And then once you have everything set up, then you can start shooting shots and just chomping away, and then that'll get you a lot of kills and get your bounty up really fast.
And how do you get health back? Because I was noticing like you I mean, obviously you take damage and stuff.
The things that give health back are if he rolls over the mini flipper lane and you shoot the harpoon gate, that gives you health back. If you destroy any type of boat, that'll give you health back. And if you graduate to the next level of shark, you get all your health back.
Okay.
And also the reel on the upper playfield, that'll give you some health back.
Okay. Yeah, this game
To get rid of barrels, you have to kill the bounty hunters, and we might have power ups do it too. We'll see.
This game, if you guys haven't tried this yet, seriously, if you don't own a Jaws, get out there, play it at an arcade. Just get linked up with it because this is a really, really fun mode. Like that's all I'm playing on Jaws right now is this mode. It's insanely cool.
Yeah, it's weird to play the normal game. I'm like, oh, I don't really use the action button,
Yeah.
Can you get beyond 6 balls?
6 is how many are in the game.
Yeah.
So anything past stage 6 will still be 6 balls.
Okay.
But you should, when I think even now, I think the max you can get to is stage 7 without, reaching 10,000 bounty. So when Quint does get in the game, that's where you'll be at.
Now,
Nice.
Does the Pro and the Premium both have 6 balls?
Yeah.
Okay.
The only thing you're missing on the Pro is it's probably a little bit harder to light the power up because the drops you can sweep, and the upper playfield you can't do the power blow to the bounty hunter. So during the bounty phase, if you shoot the ramp on the upper playfield, it'll take the bounty hunter down to 1% no matter where he is. And the reel will heal you during the main play. So you're missing out on a couple features. The radio target and the life ring target will also add to your kill streak multiplier, which is, to reach each kill you make without draining will keep building that multiplier. So everyone you eat is, I think it's 250 points times the multiplier. So you can get that up to like 20 or 30. You can get some crazy values out of there.
So are you going to stick a timer in this mode so that way Carl D'Angelo can do like another pin quest or whatever he calls it, and we can all attack this challenge and see who can do it the fastest?
Yeah.
Yeah, we could. There's no timers in it now. Just like there's a timer that kicks in when you've tracked the bounty hunter.
Yeah.
But you can take your time at the beginning of each stage. Obviously, ball 1, if there's only one ball in play, you can really set up. You can get the chum bucket, you can light up all the beachgoers, kind of set yourself up. But once you get 2 balls in play, that's a lot harder to do.
I agree. I really liked how Carl was doing, like we did. What was it? Avengers? It was a Black Order multi-ball, and it was whoever could complete it the fastest or the least amount of shots or whatever it was. So I don't know. I always like those little concepts that he's been doing with these. So
You could also do you could do a limited number of flips like you did on Avengers too. So you only have a you have 100 flips.
Really hard not to do that in this game because I've done it 2 games in a row, and I was like, I don't want to do a 3rd game in a row. And of course, as soon as we released this code, Carl's messaging me, "Hey, I can't get the Quint." You're like, man, you got there already? I thought I made it hard enough that mortals wouldn't be able to easily get there, but
mortals can't.
There he is.
But Carl's in more, or he's more than mortal.
He's immortal.
Yeah.
So good crime. If anyone's gonna do it, it's gonna be Carl, of course.
Yeah.
Like, don't worry, it'll be in.
He's like, I'm bored. I've already beat the main game multiple times, and now I've beat the side mode. I need you to put more in.
Yeah. So we're making a couple of changes. So right now, Shark Alley We call it the little bonus game you play after
Yeah.
every even level. Um, it seemed a little easy, so we changed a couple of cards. So we put like bathing suits on sharks and shark fins on bathers, just to, just to throw people off a little bit.
You know, honestly, the thing, what I look for is if the legs are dangling down, because obviously sharks aren't going to have those. So maybe if you have like a swimmer more plateaued than sitting.
Yeah, we're working on like the shark fin hoax swimmer. We put that in there,
Okay.
just so if you see the fin and you hit that, oh no, that's not a shark. Yeah, we're just trying to mess with people because it's this mode is goofy, stupid. It's just it's what it is.
The first time I was like 6 out of 10. I really messed up, but on the second time I had it down pat. So you're gonna have to mess with us. So
we're gonna boost the difficulty every time you play it too. So like the first time it's gonna stay the same, but then that timer's gonna reduce 100 milliseconds, so you have almost no time to pick it out. So that'll be tough.
Well, it's definitely awesome. I love this concept. I want to see more of this going forward. I think it's perfect, and I love that you did the 8-bit. I know that like in Foo Fighters, there was the Bot Frenzy, which is 8-bit. That was amazing. I think people are craving 8-bit, and maybe I don't know. That's just me, but I'm here for it, and it's amazing. I love it.
What people don't realize, it's a lot of work to make something look 8-bit. Because I kind of helped with the art of animations on this, and those guys gave me a bunch of artwork and I animated a lot of it, but there's some things I had to create myself, and it's just like, man, this is a pain trying to, go into Photoshop. Okay, now make this look crappy. It's a lot of work. I had the special pixel brush I had to make. It's so much more work than people probably realize. And then some of the stuff said he used After Effects. I just gave Rick, individual frames as PNG files. That way it's really choppy. It looks something you would see in like 8-bit. Here's a little pop-up window with a crappy animation of a guy slam dunking. That was kind of our baseline to how this was done. Or like you said, Punch Out. I think it's just 2 frames they play over and over. And it's just like, this is an 8-bit animation. It looks terrible, but people love it. I love it. It's very sentimental.
So I don't know if you can confirm or deny, but the 8-bit animation of you at the very end, you're wearing a hat. Is that a Stern Pinball hat or is that a Loser Kid hat?
I don't even know who made that or why.
It's an awesome hat. I will say that. It looks
whatever
really
it
awesome.
is, it is great.
It looks great. Fantastic.
I'm guessing one of the artists just grabbed something from Facebook. I don't know. When the first time I saw that, I was like, huh.
Joel's like, it's Loser Kid. I'm like, I don't know. It's a little like even.
It might be.
You know what? I'm just gonna go with it. go with it.
We're claiming it.
Yeah.
Yeah. See how the white one today for you?
There you go.
Perfect.
Yeah, that's a good looking one.
So we joked one time that Gomez's Bond, the drop targets in front, how they have the little like Japanese symbol or whatever it is
with the line through it. Yeah,
we drew a line through it in our little eyes and stuff. We're like, look, Loser Kid's on
Loser
Bond.
Kid.
And people still come up to us like, we can't believe they put you in Bond. I was like,
yeah. The licensor made an exception for us.
Yes, just for us.
Those guys are awesome.
Yes, we heard all about that. The licensors were very forthcoming with all of their product. Oh, ninja shoes. Nice. That's all I can think of now.
Yeah,
Every time I see
no, it's ninja booties. That's the best.
Ninja booties.
Ninja booties. Yes. Booty.
All right, Keith, we have you on. I've got to ask because we're like probably about midway to your next game. I assume, are we going to see your next game in 2025?
I can neither confirm nor deny that.
Okay, but it will be coming out. So okay.
I
do have another game. Yes.
Okay, you have been teasing. I'm pretty sure that it has at least more than one flipper. So
more than one. No, it's one flipper actually.
It's one flip. Wow.
Yeah.
Screw Italian bottom.
That way you can hold your beer and you play. Yeah,
exactly.
Hold your beer and play.
Yeah. Okay, that would be a challenge actually. A one flipper game.
Yeah. It's all action buttons.
I know at least one flipper game, and it was an old EM. There's one flipper on the right side. The other side was a pop bumper or something. I was like, wow, this is weird. And both flipper buttons activated the same flipper,
That's weird.
That would certainly be interesting.
That is weird. Okay, can we ask how many flippers are going to be on your next game?
You can ask. 4.
4. Okay. Nice.
I'm a big fan of multi-flipper games.
Same.
Well, I think some of your best games have had 4 flippers. Well, I guess Godzilla's the king, so I mean
Well,
that's
I
only
got
had 3
I got
flippers.
Iron Maiden over my shoulder here, so
Yeah, I will say this is probably my favorite layout. So
Nice.
stay
really
tuned.
okay. Okay.
Okay, what's your favorite released layout so far?
Avengers.
Avengers. Okay,
hmm
Hmm.
that is a great layout. It flows beautifully. I think that game is very
I
underrated.
I think it has the longest ball paths. Like legitimately,
Yeah,
like the way the balls just circle around, and it gives that feeling of motion, but it doesn't feel too frenetic. Like you can still hit shots, but the ball has definitely, I would say, unique ball paths which have not been on any game. So
yeah.
I
And Bond 60, I designed that game in like 2 weeks, and it's one of my favorite shooting games too. It's
hmm
just,
Yeah.
I think when I guess the crunch, it seems to be, I don't overthink things. I was like, this needs to work first time, and both those games didn't really get much revision from the initial Whitewood.
And Bond 60th is great. Actually, the first time I played is when we came up there in May for
hmm
the media thing, and it really is a great game.
Thanks. I mean, obviously, software and everything, but I just kind of, you know, I know George was getting crushed with, getting his Cornerstone game out, and he's like, oh yeah, we're gonna do a simple single level playfield, and I was like, hey, if you need help, I'll do it for you. And then yeah, a couple of weeks later, he's like, you know what, it's yours. So kind of paused what I was doing and knocked that out, and the first Whitewood we shot, I was like, wow, hardly anything needs to change on this. So I got lucky. Uh, don't That doesn't happen too often when you make a Whitewood and every shot it just does exactly what you think it does, because it's
hmm
usually well, I got to move this, got to move that, change this angle, change that angle, realign the flippers. So it kind of worked out, and thank goodness, because I didn't have a whole lot of time to do it.
when you're designing a game, that there shots are different if you trap up or you're hitting them at velocity.
Yeah.
If it's coming down. So how do you adjust for that? And do you intentionally say, well, this shot here, you probably really need to trap up versus no, this one you really need to have some ball speed so you can hit that angle.
Well, so if you notice in Jaws, I have the ramp feeds feeding really close to the flipper, and that's one of the reasons. Because yeah, I didn't want the ball flying down the in lane, because then that trying to shoot the ball up the middle off of that is going to be almost impossible. So I do the late in lane feeds, angle the flipper angle's higher, the resting position angle is a little higher. Jaws is the highest angled one I've done. So that should be friendly towards the middle of the play field and make kind of the edge shots a little harder, but there are no real edge shots in Jaws like there is on Iron Maiden or Jurassic Park.
Mhm. I do notice that just the way the flippers are positioned, it certainly affects the game. I'm actually one of the few people who have not adjusted my Attack from Mars flippers. So and it's right next to Medieval Madness. So it's a very similar shot profile. However, when you jump from one to another, if you have the drop flippers, which Attack from Mars does have, it really does mess with your timing and your mind, unless you're a much better player than I am anyway.
Yeah, that drives me crazy if I go to a tournament and play a game that's supposed to have drop flippers and they align it with the in lane because Steve Ritchie told him to a long time ago.
Yeah.
That was the funniest thing I ever. There was some tournament I played in. I was like, well, Steve Ritchie said all his flippers are aligned. It's like, yeah, that's Steve, but it depends on the game designer. Trust us, each one of us, goes through and figures out what angle to put those at a default before we ship. If you move them up, it really does screw up a lot of stuff. Like if you drop the flippers on Jaws, good luck shooting anything up the middle.
Yeah. So I have one question. I don't know if you can confirm or deny this one either.
Oh boy, one of these again, huh?
Yes, one of these again. Okay. Gomez has named you king of the monsters since the licenses you've been dealt all deal with monsters, or the vast majority of them. Will your next game stay in that lane, or are you going to stray to new territory?
Both.
Ooh,
Oh, all right.
that's a good tidbit.
It's a hybrid.
It's ET, everyone. It's ET.
Okay, ET. Okay, seriously, just Google all the crap they sold for ET. There's zero chance they would be selling any of that now. I could not like all the. Let's just say there's a lot of very interesting looking swag that people bought that were ET related. That I'm like, I don't know if I think someone would crusade against that nowadays.
Has anyone caught ET in when he plays the shark?
Oh,
I didn't know you could.
No? Okay.
Man, I have to look
Oh.
for that. That's awesome.
What would be great is if ET were in the in the basket and riding in front of the moon, and the shark jumped up and like grabbed him and just made him disappear. That'd be awesome.
Yeah. Let's just say there's an ET Easter egg in there somewhere.
Okay. There's also ET in whatever which one of the Star Wars when they're at the Senate. Did you guys realize that there's like an Easter egg in
Oh,
the
yeah.
Galactic Center? There's like a whole bunch of ETs down there.
Yep.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're from one of the galaxies or whatever.
Yeah. I wouldn't
I
be
have not-
surprised. Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying, I wouldn't be surprised if it's like when like Mark Silk is talking, like his little dude, because it shows a whole bunch of different alien races there.
I don't know if that movie holds up. I haven't seen it in so long.
E.T.
Yeah.
I don't think it does.
I think I remember more from Mac and Me than I do ET.
I
Which is just
remember
an ET
seeing
clone,
it.
you know?
I remember seeing it as a kid, and the first time you see it, everybody's emotional, and it's a really good thing. And I think they re-released it a year later, and so I was a year older, and we went and were like, oh, we want to see it, and I didn't. It didn't hit at all. Like everybody in the audience was like, okay, well that happened because back in the '80s when we didn't have VHS, because everything was so expensive. Back in the '80s, you'd buy a movie for like $70, which if you consider that was like $300. So that's why everyone like recorded had a whole bunch of pirated recordings of movies. But they would do these things. They would like I think Star Wars was re-released into the theaters like 6 times, and of course we went every time. But that was just it's really interesting growing up now versus then because kids don't understand. Kids do not get that the amount of depravity that we had to suffer through. A lot of boredom. Kids aren't bored now. My kids have never been bored in their life, but I think most of my childhood was boredom.
But you know what? When I was a kid, I would take hammer, nails, rubber bands, and go make a playfield. That's my childhood was spent either building things or tearing things apart to see how they worked.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
And everything was put together with like a Phillips head screwdriver. So I think every toy that I ever had, I took apart and saw how it worked and then put it back together. And there was usually some extra pieces that I never figured out where they were.
Just like when you shop a game out.
Yeah.
All these extra pieces. Yeah, whatever.
Well, awesome, Keith. We appreciate you coming on. Scott, do you have any other questions before we let Keith go?
Let's see. Let me think about that because we did go through most of our questions.
Yeah, we went through all of our questions.
Okay.
So
I do want to know, what is the hardest shot on any of your games for you to hit?
The M target on Bond 60th.
Oh,
okay.
yeah. No, that's that actually is, and it's one of those like it's a time shot. And so you have to hit it at the right time, so you can't just take a whole bunch of shots. Absolutely. I agree.
And to further illustrate my point of flipper alignment, I think that shot's at the exact same position as the far right ramp on Jurassic Park, but since these flippers are aligned much higher, that shot becomes way harder.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, that's what I wanted. I wanted a shot. You're not going to shoot very, very often. But when you do, it's worth 3,000 points or whatever.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, hardest shot now, I want to know the shot that you love hitting the most.
It's got to be the O shot on the Jurassic Park because it's so hard, but when you hit it, it's just so satisfying.
Oh, yeah.
I would argue the smart missile, too, because I get that about every three out of 20 times. But when you hit it, you feel like an amazing player there.
That's one of those shots where you look at it, that's not possible. That's not possible. And then you hit it and you're like, huh.
Yeah, how'd that work?
Your brain's like, that shouldn't work. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. But yeah, there's great rewards to that. So
Nice.
All right. Well,
Well, cool.
That's great. Thanks again for coming on. That was awesome. Always fun hearing the behind the scenes, and also I do love just the little ways you guys at Stern are implementing playing games, and so there are different ways of doing things, and it's kind of like a party mode. You know, it's like,
Yeah.
hey, come over and play pinball, as opposed to watch me play a game for 30 minutes. It's like, hey, we got 3 minutes each. My party game is Beatles, because it's so
Yeah.
hard. Like it's like, okay, we've been playing these games, now we're gonna finish up on Beatles because we just get crushed.
Yep.
yeah, so you can see behind me all the
Mhm.
games that are in my office, all these classics. 5:30, 6 o'clock, when everyone's done working, they all come here and they all play these old games because you can play together. It's played quick. You're done. You're in and out. So yeah, there's something if we can bring back together playing, playing as a group, playing as friends, playing against your friends, just social game of pinball that we all remember from back then. I think it's important to try to bring that back.
Mm-hmm.
I
And
agree.
I think you should do a Contra pinball machine where you go
Yes.
through each of the releases, like the original, then Super Contra, Contra 3, and
Oh yeah. Oh man, does Mode 7 effects from back then? Oof,
yeah.
that game was awesome.
I gotta know then. Would you, if Stern got a Legend of Zelda license, would you fight for that license, or do you think someone else would be more inclined to do it at Stern?
I love Zelda. I think I've played pretty much all of them that weren't just exclusive on Game Boy or some of those mid releases in the early 2000s, late 90s. But yeah, pretty much every major Zelda game I've played through.
I did
Nice.
all the early ones. Once they got to where my son, he's gone through Breath of the Wild so many times, and Tears of the Kingdom, but he's like, hey Dad, you need to play this. And so I spend like 2 hours figuring out, okay, this is what I do, and then I get busy for like 2 weeks, and I get back on and I realize there needs to be like a reorientation mode when you get back on a game to say, okay, this is how you play it again.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
You want a
Yeah.
refresher?
Hey, you're hitting the wrong buttons. Would you like to go through the orientation again?
I mean, that's the beauty when you walk up to Frogger or something. It's like, you don't have to remember where you left
Yeah,
off.
no. Absolutely. Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, awesome. Thank you, Keith, for coming on. Before we wrap this up, I want, if you love pinball and you love Nintendo like us, check out my shirt.
Pinball.
It says pinball and it's in the old retro NES font. You can get this at silverballswag.com right now, along with our Loser Kids swag besides the hats. If you want a hat, I have posted it on Facebook. We're going to be doing a run here soon because Expo is a month and a half away. So if you want a Loser Kid hat, go on Facebook, Instagram, whatever your favorite social is, and you can sign up there so we can get you a hat.
Get the jersey. The jersey's awesome. The hockey jersey, looks good.
I can't wait for my hockey jerseys to show up. Last but not least, we have content creator of the episode. We want to shout out Wormhole Pinball. If you haven't been checking out their stuff, they're doing great jobs with the interviews and kind of showcasing what what pinball has to offer, and they're doing it on YouTube. So give that a check. So, Scott, you got anything for us before I do our whole spiel?
I'm really excited for Expo. So please, if you guys are interested, go and sign up for Expo. I'm still trying to get time off, but I know Josh is going to be there, and I'm pretty sure Keith is going to be there. So
I'll be there.
You have to challenge him to a Bond 60th game and see
There
if
you
you can
go.
beat him.
That's a fun multiplayer game, man.
He would have to play one-armed. There's no way.
All right, deal.
One-arm challenge.
Sold.
Deal.
If you can beat Keith at a one-arm challenge of Bond 60th, we will get you a hat. How about that?
Absolutely. the winner.
Right, we might be.
Yes.
Keith might not show up to Expo after the second day.
I freaking love that game. I'll play it all day long.
If you want to get a hold of us, we are loserkidpinballpodcast@gmail.com. You can also get a hold of us on all the socials, all at loserkidpinball. If you want some of our swag, like I said, loserkidpinball. Silverball swag/loserkid. And, all this shenanigans. If you want to watch us on YouTube, we're on YouTube now. Scott and I got new cameras, so we don't look prettier, but you can see more definition.
Our ugliness is in high def now.
Yes, it is. So, all right. See you maybe next week.
See you in 1 or 2 weeks.